Satterfield. I'm the executive director here at NIA Center. And first, I just have to say welcome to the 4th iteration of NIA Center's My Story events. Now, normally what I would do in this type of situation is I would give you a background on NIA Center, what we're about, the purpose of today. However, we have a fantastic keynote speaker that I will introduce here in just a minute, and she can do all of that much better than I can. So I am just here really to express thanks and gratitude on behalf of NIA Center. First, I want to express y'all, the community, because as a cultural nonprofit, we cannot do what we do without you, whether it be your support, volunteering, donations, and really just being the support behind a community effort to not only create a space for Black culture in Grand Rapids, but to also build a permanent cultural center, which is our main goal. Secondly, I want to thank the artist, Jon McDonald. And please, as you walk around and enjoy today's exhibit, I encourage you to stop and thank Jon yourself, because we could not have this beautiful display and we could not honor these women today if it wasn't for his extremely talented hands, and he has been an absolute joy to work with. I want to thank Embassy Suites for providing us this space while we are on our journey to create our own, and I want to thank Mercury Head Gallery and Vinecroft Studios for transforming this space into a true blue art exhibition. Earlier today, before y'all got here, this was just an empty room, and I have to thank Mercury Head Galleries for the framing and the positioning, and I have to thank Vinecroft Studios for putting these big square pillars in the floor to give it a little more pizzazz. Next, I want to thank all of our sponsors who also made this possible for us today. And I'm just going to run through them really quick. Please hold your applause until the end, because I want to give y'all as much time as you need to mingle and enjoy the exhibit. So I want to thank AHC Hospitality, Art Exchange Grand Rapids, Brown's Funeral Home, the City of Grand Rapids, the Dick and Betsy DeVos Family Foundation, Eastern Floral for these beautiful centerpieces that I picked out myself. You're welcome. Family Network of Wyoming, who will be supplying the volunteers for the full public exhibit tomorrow and Saturday. The Fry Foundation, Fulfilling the Dream. We have Mr. Wayman Britt in the house. Thank you, sir, for coming. The Grand Rapids Community Foundation, the Grand Rapids Public Schools, who are going to be having a little field trip here tomorrow morning. Grand Valley State University, Hayworth, their building out in Holland is stellar. Highly recommend as just a vacation to see a masterpiece. Hungerford Nichols, Jim and Mary Nelson, I'm going to say this wrong, Makatawa Bank, Meyer, Mosby's Popcorn, Nexus Technology Services, Planet Fitness, the Wegge Foundation, and the West Michigan Artist Showcase. If you or any of your representatives are here in the building today, thank you from NIA Center. I do want to give a quick special thanks to Mercantile Bank, who is our reception underwriter today. And from Mercantile, specifically Monica Krager, who is who I was working with through that whole... Are you here? Hello! Thank you, Monica, for answering all emails promptly and concisely. You are appreciated. And now that I have gotten through all of my thanks, I know that I said I owed y'all a little bit of an explanation of NIA Center and why we're here today, but I found someone who can do that much better for me. So now I want to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Carolyn Ferrari. She is the National Manager of Regional Directors for American Immersion Theater. Please give it up for Carolyn.
If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Here's what happened. I had just received a call from my employer. I used all of my paid time off and all of my sick days. They issued the ultimatum, return to work or tender my resignation. I was sitting on my couch where I had been for most of the prior 2 weeks. Why? Because the man I thought I was engaged to disappeared overnight, but not before he perpetrated a scam which ended with my account being overdrawn by $9,000 and me having to press charges against him unless the bank was going to send me to jail. I was mortified and definitely not ready to jump back into my life, but I had to make a decision. I picked up a pen and wrote my first poem that day. I put all the emotions on the page and began what is now 20 years of helping others find their voice or heal their hurts by hearing my stories, by sharing my life in books, over music tracks, and on global stages. That poem was included in the first 4 self-published books of poetry and spoken word recordings on dozens of labels around the world. I get to share my stories and art to help and inspire. Don't you just love how stories can have such an impact on your very existence? Take a moment. Think back to when you were a child. Stories would take us on adventures or teach us lessons or comfort us as we drifted off to sleep. We grow older and stories begin to shape our world and how we view our place in it. We look for acceptance and connection, so the stories we share with our peers begin to influence our narratives about ourselves and our society. I've seen firsthand how art transcends language barriers, creates shared experiences of bonding across continents, and literally gives people the will to keep fighting for their lives. Here in Grand Rapids, I've witnessed how art restores beauty to neighborhoods, draws crowds from around the world in celebration, pays tribute to influential members of our community, and tells their stories. My Story 4 is another opportunity for us to experience stories through art. Images of 20 amazing women have been portrayed for us to observe. Moments of their lives have been captured for us to ponder. We get to learn about these women, share their stories. I wonder, as you walk around, if any of your favorites were included in the collection. How will their stories impact your lives? What new tidbits will you learn about these 20 women? Will one of them be perhaps my favorite, Nina Simone, who was classically trained as a child but didn't really find her voice until she started playing music to support the civil rights movement? Or perhaps one of the most amazing poets ever, Miss Lucille Clifton. My Story is NIA Center's annual flagship event featuring successful African-American artists and leaders intended to expose the broader community to Black culture and excellence. My Story 4 features watercolors of 20 local, national, and international women, painted by Jon McDonald, inspired by the movie Hidden Figures and the historic exclusion of the contributions African-American women make in society. The exhibit is an effort to explore art as a medium of civic connection, cultural engagement, and Black history. We hope to celebrate, preserve, and educate others about the lives and successes of 20 African-American women, increase positive representation of African-American women, engage with area youth by providing artist demonstrations to schools and field trip opportunities, and foster a sense of civic connection through equity in art and art access, and also cultural engagement. Why is this important, especially now? According to a recent study published in the Journal of the American Psychological Association, intersectional invisibility suggests that Black women may be harmed when their unique experiences of both racism and sexism go unappreciated by larger movements. The study finds that demographic group prototypes under-differentiate Black women from Black men and exclude them from women. This may explain why Black women face disproportionate negative contact with the legal system and why feminism and anti-racism movements often fail to address their concerns. Further, a Time.com article published in July 2020 chronicles a history dating back as early as 1866 of Black women who have been trailblazers for social change, but whose names are often omitted or forgotten. There are major social movements happening today. Feminist movements, anti-racism movements, police brutality movements, the list goes on, but Black women's voices are being drowned out. Simply put, Black women are often on the front lines of social change and large social movements, but are rarely served by them. Exhibitions like this, artists like Jon McDonald, help tell these women's stories. Because art is not presented as fact or law, it allows people to approach with willing openness as opposed to compulsory observation. Willing openness is the mindset we need in order to really benefit from this opportunity to share together around these 20 Black women and their stories. Shortly after I moved to Grand Rapids, I made a determination to be a force for unity and add value in my community. I became intentional about connecting with people and organizations that were like-minded, and a friend suggested that I connect with NIA Center. I'm so happy I followed that advice. NIA Center has a wonderful mission to provide an inclusive gathering space created to inspire, build, transform, and connect all people of all ages. To do so, they provide programming and events centered around equity and the intersection of art with other cultural components to provide a holistic view that is the African American experience. They provide safe spaces for us to share stories, build community, and that is priceless. As you experience the exhibit, I hope that you are inspired to learn more about your favorites, make note of things that surprised you, and of course, share with others. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Sierra, thank NIA Center, and thank you all for allowing me to share a little bit of my story with you today. Enjoy the exhibit.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And now, I'm going to introduce someone that many of you already know as NIA Center's fabulous board chair, Mr. Robert Upton. Will you come here and lead us in a toast to Jon McDonald?
I'm going to actually ask for John and Marion to come forward and join me up here for a moment. One of the things that you learn quickly about John when you get a chance to talk to him is that he doesn't like a whole lot of attention brought to himself. But I think John has created a magnificent exhibition for all of us to enjoy. And I remember when John and I started talking about the possibility of putting together an exhibition, it was supposed to include African American men as well. But we came up with the names of about 40 to 50 African American women, and we very quickly decided, you know what? That's what this exhibition should be about. And so, and I think when I look at all of these women, all of these stories, it's truly amazing. Perseverance, resilience, you know, dealing with difficult times. And I think that's what brings us here, and I think it's what propels us and encourages us to move into the future. But I want to make a toast, and there's some glasses. If you guys look around you, there's some glasses that you can grab, and feel free to come on up. And I hope we have enough for everyone. If we don't, I'm so sorry. This toast is to Jon McDonald, an amazing African-American artist that we are proud to celebrate along with his wife, Marion, for allowing me to drop in so many days and view artwork and listen to Jon and I talk. But Jon is a treasure to our community. He has a giving heart, and I think it is worthy of the highest honor. And I want to say to you, Jon, I appreciate you. I think you have exceeded our expectations, and you have honored your city. You have honored these women, and we thank you for it. So this toast is for you and Marion.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Now don't y'all go anywhere.
Don't leave.
Okay.
Don't y'all go anywhere.
I ain't got no money.
You thought it was over, but I think that such powerful words should be accompanied by a little something special.
Okay.
So this is from this is on behalf of NIA Center. Something for you, Marion. Just thank you again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm glad so many people came out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, everyone, I don't care where you are at 8 o'clock, but you can't be here. So enjoy yourselves until then. And when you come to My Story 4 this weekend on Saturday, here is a little bit of what you can expect. So here at NIA Center, we are very conscious about promoting equity in art and equity in art access. So the reason that we're hosting this event is not only to do that, but to also honor the strength and success of African American women. Because here at NIA Center, our mission is to not only promote equity in art and art access, but to also expose the broader community to Black culture. And so with this event, it is our way of saying, hi, come check us out, come see what we do, come see our programming, our mission, our goals and events, and to really build that connection while staying true to our mission. All right, everyone, here is one of our models and one of our featured women, Laura B. Moody. She's a retired GRCC nursing professor. So Laura, tell us a little bit about what it's like to be featured at this event and what you think so far.
It's a very humbling experience. I thank God for the opportunity and for the NIA group to think of me as someone in the community. I'm very involved in the community, but it's something I just do naturally. It's not for fashion, not for show. But I always say, and I'm a part of the Grand Rapids Black Nurses and the African Alpha Sorority, so with all the community involvements and everything, I always say the body you save may be your own. So to be honored and to know that we had our students here from Union this morning, to be able to talk with some of them that are interested in nursing, and just to know that our health is so important. And I even look at, even with the vaccines, and I'm on the task force with the health department in regards to our vaccines and things. So it is just so important to know that the body you save may be your own. Very humbling, and I'm honored that the community thought enough of me to honor me.
I've had the pleasure of knowing and getting to know Sierra Hatfield, the executive director over at NIA, over at NIA. And she and I collaborated on an art exhibition that happened right around Art Prize, during Art Prize. And it was an exhibition that showcased local artists of color and their artwork in this exhibition during the Art Prize weekend. And it's an event, an exhibition that I'm extremely proud of, because I know it was maybe the only exhibition happening around that time that featured and showcased local talent, local artists of color. And so we were able to collaborate and pull together that event with NIA, which was absolutely phenomenal. It was an incredible event. And really ever since then, I've been indebted to Sierra and NIA for their generosity and supporting Art Exchange and allowing us to put on that exhibition and showcase the immense talent that we have in the Black and Brown community. So that's how I got to know them. Art Exchange is an artist resource company And what we do is we specialize in supporting artists of color and helping them build and manage their art career right here in West Michigan and Grand Rapids. And so what that might look like is we do have artists that will want to work with us because one of their pain points is they can't seem to find exhibitions. They can't get or participate in enough exhibitions. And so Art Exchange, we mobilize and we try to make that a reality where they can get more exhibitions. Artists come to us and they say, well, I would really, like to sell my work online, and they just don't have the digital platform capacity to make that happen. Well, we do. And so at Art Exchange, we leverage all the different supports and services that we have to support artists of color. So even if that's partnering with the corporation, working with local community organizations like NIA, we have relationships within the community where we can leverage those and support the artists in their career. So that's kind of what we do. We've been active since 2017. And so we've been doing it for about 4 years now. When I'm not actively working with Art Exchange, I also teach middle school English. And so Sierra and I thought that maybe this would be a great opportunity to continue to collaborate. And so she asked if my students could write essays that would be attached to the different women that were featured in the exhibition. And the different phenomenal, incredible, amazing African-American women that were going to be portrayed in the My Story 4. And I thought, wow, what an incredible opportunity. And for my students to get involved in the arts, to be involved in the arts, to do some research, to get to write essays and learn about these incredible women that they maybe have never known or maybe heard of, which really gets to of this exhibition, right? We get to highlight and feature these incredible African-American women, maybe some lesser known, impactful African-American people that we should know about. So what a great opportunity for my students to really dig in, to get to know some of these incredible women and do some research on them and then contribute to the arts at the same time. So it was Sierra's idea. I'm not taking credit for it at all. She said, hey, maybe your students could write some essays and do some work to be involved and be engaged, and we can invite them out to the show and participate in it. So that's kind of the backstory for that, how I got involved.
Especially now, the way this country is going, it's very appropriate for people to have role models, positive role models, especially Black kids, because there's so much going on. And then and they're complaining about critical race. They don't want to learn about us, but we've got to know about each other. So I told them I would do it for free because I just wanted it to be done right, and that's how I saw it. So. I went online to find photos of everyone. I've met a few of those people in person. I met Barbara Jordan, which was the biggest thrill of my life, I think, as far as meeting someone important, and started in watercolors. A couple of them I did twice because I didn't, I found a pose I liked, and when I got it painted, it didn't look right. So I, tore it up, got another one started. So, well, it basically, it's about shapes. And the difficult part with this project is they were all faces. And so they were fairly, if I were doing a city scene or an old car, you'd have a lot of different shapes, but these shapes were fairly similar. So I had to find anything in the photos that I found that was so different from the other that it would be fun to do. Otherwise it gets very redundant and you sort of sleepwalk through it, which I didn't want to do. So as an artist, what you do is you look at the shapes. It had very little to do with the people. It had to do with the poses their heads were in and if there were shadows or something like that. I liked Aretha, I loved Shirley, and I really loved Barbara Jordan. Shirley Chisholm and Barbara, but I went to one of Aretha's concerts, was the most incredible singer I've ever heard in my life. Never got to meet Shirley Chisholm, but those were exciting because it was almost like I was doing it for them. A buddy of mine came up and he said, man, you got to go up and see this guy in the park. And they had art in the park, and it was a guy named John Lockhart, who was a Black professor from the University of Michigan, and he was one of the best artists I've ever seen. And I was real nervous, so I stood behind a tree to watch him draw all day. Came back the next day and watched him. Never said a word to him because I was intimidated by him. and got his number, called him up. He didn't know who I was. That inspired me to really become an artist, because before that, I was going to go into economics. But that was the biggest inspiration. So when I see kids now, you want them to know that it's possible. Don't let anyone push you out of the way. Do it, and do it as well as you can, and be proud of yourself. Primarily hope. But one of the main things is that look who we are. We're very, as a Black person, we're very, very talented people. We've done so much, and some of these people no one knows. And it's part of the systemic racism in America. But I want them to look and see who we are, especially young kids, especially Black kids. White kids, I want them to know who we are too. We know who they are. They're on TV, they're in books, they're everywhere all the time. But I want everyone to know who these people are, or who they were and what they did, to show how powerful we really are as a people. We're very strong as a people.